and get our product on the market before our competitors. Thank you. Bit of respect. Now, I'm going to tell you why we're going to bring this launch date forward, and you're going to listen!
One of the most common strategies when it comes to de-escalating a situation is to stand your ground in an assertive manner. I call this the TAC method, Tactical Assertive Communication. Now, during my engagement with participants, whether it be in the private or public sector, there are always clusters of individuals who fear communicating in an assertive manner. Let me give you a real life example. One of the ways I begin my session after the pleasantries and formalities are done is to let people know that I will not do any role plays, but I will give them some scenarios. You know, like what would you do in this situation, and for the group to come up with ideas. As soon as I say no role plays, I can immediately see anxiety and stress leave their bodies, and I can sense a bit of relief in their body language. Then I go on to ask, who in the room here vehemently dislikes these role plays? And almost 95% of the room validate my suspicions, citing things like, it's embarrassing, they aren't real life, or it's uncomfortable, and so on. Now, I'm sure that you can add to this list. There are always going to be few members in the room that are outspoken and would say something like, I will do everything that I can to get out of a role play. Just when I hear a person who is outspoken, I would politely say to that person, hey boo-boo, come over here and join me up on stage for a moment. And I promise you, I won't make you feel embarrassed or uncomfortable. I also reassure them that this will only take a few moments, and almost immediately, Boo Boo says, I knew you were going to pick on me, and then laughs and begins to make their way on stage while all the other delegates in the room giggle under their breath, thanking their creator it wasn't them. And as soon as Boo Boo begins to make their way to the stage, I say, hey, thanks, Boo Boo, take a seat for a moment. But I am curious as to why you would join me on stage with the possibility of being embarrassed and to allow yourself to get a level of anxiety when just a moment ago you said that you would do anything to get out of a role play. So the question is, why didn't Boo Boo just use their tactical assertive communication skills? Now, of course, I will give you a great assertiveness technique at the end of this that would help Boo Boo. But before I do, why aren't we just assertive enough to say thanks, but no thanks? Well, one of the common reasons is the fear of being rejected or disliked by others. And people may worry that asserting themselves and expressing their needs or opinions will lead to negative consequences such as being ostracized or losing relationships. Some individuals may fear confrontation or conflict that could arise from being assertive. They may prefer to avoid tense or uncomfortable situations and believe that being non-confrontational will help maintain harmony in their relationships. Individuals with low self-esteem may struggle with feelings of unworthiness or a lack of confidence in their own thoughts and opinions, and they may fear that asserting themselves will highlight their perceived inadequacies or result in criticisms or judgment from others. Previous experiences of negative outcomes or rejection when attempting to assert themselves can create fear of being assertive. If someone has faced ridicule, punishment, or other negative consequences in the past, they may develop an apprehension about repeating those experiences. Now, of course, cultural or social norms can influence how individuals perceive assertiveness. In some cultures, there may be an emphasis on obedience, harmony, or avoiding conflict, which can discourage people from asserting themselves and instead prioritize maintaining group cohesion. Some people may just not have learned or developed effective assertiveness skills. They may feel uncertain about how to express their needs, set boundaries, or handle difficult conversations, which can lead to fear and anxiety around being assertive. It is, of course, important to note that the fear of being assertive is a common and understandable reaction, and it can vary from person to person based on their unique experiences and personality traits. And overcoming this fear often requires self-reflection, practice, and gradual exposure to assertive situations. So a couple of things you can do. The easiest way is to start with small steps. Begin by asserting yourself in low-stakes situations or with people that you feel comfortable with, gradually working your way up to more challenging situations. And then once you do, celebrate your success and learn from any setbacks along the way. Learn to say no. Say it with a yes inflection, but with a no demand, without feeling guilty or obliged to please everyone. Remember that developing assertiveness is a process, and it may take time and practice to feel more comfortable standing up for yourself. Be patient with yourself and acknowledge that setbacks and challenges are normal. Now let's get back to Boo Boo. Remember, I asked Boo Boo to come up on stage. Wouldn't it have been easier if Boo Boo had said something like this to assert themselves? Hey, thanks, Gerald. Thanks for the invitation. I think role plays are really beneficial, but for me, I feel a little embarrassed and I also feel them as a bit of a challenge, and I'd rather just sit this one out. I'm sure there are other people in the group that would love this opportunity, but thanks again, I'll sit this one out. Now, if Gerald turns around and says, oh, come on, Boo Boo, come on up here. Like I said, it's going to be non-threatening. It won't be embarrassing. It'll all be good. The rest of the group can now see that I'm being passively aggressive, and they'll also see me as a bit of a bully. But imagine then if Boo Boo turns around and says, once again, Gerald, I think the role plays are exceptionally a great benefit for people to come up and do these sorts of activities just for me. As I said earlier, I just get a little bit embarrassed and I do suffer from a bit of anxiety. So once again, I'll just sit that one out. It's assertive, it's not offensive. It makes me say that I'm respecting myself and also respecting you by just politely saying no.
High quality no. I love your children, they're just wonderful and I enjoyed my time, but I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry about that. High quality no, I can't do that.